Morning, guys. It is the 3rd of April and Thursday. So starting my week pretty much at the end of the week. Yeah, a bit of a off-kilter week for me. Again, for anyone that doesn't know, I'm not going to keep going on about it, but I was away in Egypt all of last week and most of this week. So hence the shift in schedule. Back in the office now. Anyone who is new to the room, I'm making a point of doing this now because this will be on recording as well. So anyone that doesn't listen to it now or hasn't listened to me say this, they will be able to listen to it hopefully now. So I am from the UK. I have mentioned this in the Discord. My hours for me, 2:30 in the UK GMT is 9:30 in the New York local session. So the US Open for me, it's 2:30. So of course it's the afternoon for me. I have another business, which is a property business, which I do from the morning to around now. And then obviously do some bits and bobs whilst I'm sort of trading. Most of the time my trades are level to level, so my ranges, my points, my trades can be quite a lot of points, sometimes 400, sometimes 500, sometimes as small as 60 points. Those ones that are much longer than that, i.e. 2, 3, 400 points, can take 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to form or complete. So whilst those trades are in, whilst those trades are completing, oh, I just have someone giving me a call. I'm going to have to let that one go. Whilst those trades are going off, of course, I will be on mute. I don't need to talk when trades are in and there are levels set. Pretty irrelevant, right? I also don't get scared and I don't put my stops to break even most of the time. If I do, it's for a valid reason. Not going to touch on too much of that because it's just going to go over most people's heads that are new to the system. Also, if I'm in a position, please just try to keep the talk to a minimum, just because if other people are also trading, it's probably going to get very confusing. So just if possible, without giving out too many sort of thoughts here and there, it just gets confusing. So if what I'm doing you maybe don't agree with or aren't interested in, of course, absolutely fine. But please try and keep the chat in the Discord to a minimum, just so we don't have counterintuitive thoughts going on, just to keep confusion down. But apart from that, I think that is pretty much everything. If there's any questions, of course, just let me know in the Discord trading floor. All the other channels in there that you can see, there is a channel called under info called Start Here. That will give you an explanation of what the channels are for. Predominantly, you'll most likely be in the trading floor and the Zoom channel, okay? Which is where the live stream is and starts from, okay? Without further ado, we will move on to the charts. That was just a 2.5 minute breakdown, which I think is worthwhile talking about. So I'm just going to go back to yesterday before the close of yesterday and break down the week that we've had. Now, for everyone that was here last week, of course, we broke that down throughout the week. So I'm not going to go through all of that, but the days that I weren't here, obviously, I mentioned what was going on in the Discord. I gave those pivots, and those pivots worked out really, really nicely. So we had a micro extension trade on Monday, which you can see set up. I'm just going to move this over. Okay, and that ended up trading to its negative 100. We ATR'd up. And again, another point I'm going to mention, I am not going to explain every single teaching of mine in this 7-day free trial to people that have joined. Of course, it's going to be too much information to break down in such a small period of time. So if there's phrases that you don't understand, of course, hang around long enough and it will become much more easy to understand. But to a certain degree, not to be rude, I'm not going to give out 7 years of education in a 7-day free trial, unfortunately. But anyway, we traded a halfway back, which is a full, high to low 50% retracement. Nothing special, but used in the right context, extremely special. Okay, goes all the way to its completions, which means it went to its profit targets from entries. Okay. We came down and we traded a 38% retracement of that same draw, and we traded it again for support on the open on Tuesday. This to me was the real easy trade which I took and made $15,000 on that day. Did actually leave some on the table, but nonetheless, I did have a really good day. We ATR'd up and we did go to those completions. Those completions are profit target levels from a Fibonacci sequence, which I've just spoken about. Okay, the 38 rebid, and the profit target. Once that profit target happened, we then traded a traditional, which is a traditional setup, just means it's a pivot high, pivot low, pivot high, and a full 62% retracement, also known as the 61.8 golden zone, whatever you want to call it. It's just a retracement. It's also a rebalance of a caution part to the upside and a rebalance of the open price from the New York session. That failed to complete higher. It came up to the pivot high and ran up into a resistance zone of mine, which you can see at 19,661s. How I form them, again, it will be revealed in further teachings or the masterclass, etc. Just note it's a point of resistance. That point of resistance traded, and again, this is not plotted because of this. This was plotted before that happened, and the way I can show you that is that level will still be there, okay? That level was still there and will still be there even when price hits that level, okay? So it's not a lagging indicator, okay? So that was Tuesday's session. We traded the micro long from Monday, not micro long, sorry, the long from Monday, the same anchor new high from Monday. That completed, and again, you did trade a RTH halfway back on Tuesday, failed to complete, ran up into its anchor high and came up into resistance, okay? That's where we came into. And then going into yesterday, all I was doing is drawing the weekly halfway back, which traded, and we had a monster rally from that open. That was your weekly open. Again, break and retest, look above and fail, look above, fail, under, back over, retest twice. Weekly open, and it was also your halfway back from the week. So weekly halfway back, weekly midpoint, whatever you want to call it. And yesterday, let's just have a quick look. We went all the way to that completion. So this was a level to level. You have your 9 o'clock open, which was your weekly mid. Sorry, your weekly open. Your weekly mid is above us. And that went all the way to its completions, and that was a 550 point move. You had a two times ATR bar, which is classed as a caution bar, and this was marking these these purple lines are marking areas of resistance or exhaustion. 2 bars of exhaustion plus a completion of a weekly extension is time to potentially take some profit off the table. And again, that was a 550 point move in 3 hours from the weekly open. What did we then do? Of course, hindsight trader, we are all millionaires. But of course, what did we do? We traded another resistance level of mine. And again, this was printed before price traded that level, okay? Printed before price traded that level. And let's just see where that level is. So resistance here at 920s. Let's just go back so we can see 920s. And of course, you end up wicking into 20,040. Again, another resistance level of mine, just to go back so you can see that was printed before the fact, okay? We go back and you can see up here is that level. Again, you're not going to know exactly where those levels come through right away, but just be aware they are levels of support and resistance until broken. And where are we right now? Of course, last night we closed, we had the Trump tariff news, and we broke the trend. That trend would have been broken at that 61.8% retracement. And of course, that is where we currently are. Now, I wrote in the Discord this morning, if you go through some of the chat, I took a real nice trade on the long side, a micro long from this morning, and I will break down why I took that. Let's just load the screen first. So I took a micro long this morning, and let's just go back to where we are. Okay, took a micro long this morning, and you can see where those levels were. This was a 79% fade long. Okay, so you came right down to the 79% fade long. Where is the, sorry, wrong extension. I was going to say my risk was the open, but now I know why. Okay, so here we are. We came down to the halfway back, pierced the 61, and my risk was pretty much at that New York, my OVN open, and I rode that all the way up until, again, that 4-hour resistance, which is that negative 23. It did go all the way up to its negative 26, negative 62 completion, sorry, and then we came all the way back down and 8 yard up. I just realized I am so silly. Sorry, guys. This is where I took the trade, the ATR up. Sorry. I'm all off with my times. Not an excuse, but I'm just all over with my times. So this was what I waited for. Sorry, wait for price to show you ATR up, and then that's the trade I took. And my risk, I was going to say, because my risk couldn't have been at the open because it pierced the open. So again, apologies. I think there was a guy in here earlier, Froggy. I'm not too sure if that's his name or not, but someone in the room earlier I was discussing this trade with. Anyway, I took it at the halfway back. Here after the ATR up, market showing its hands, and I took it all the way up to that 23 completion. Came up to those double highs. We also had ES divergence, so NQ making a new high whilst the ES didn't. And again, what does that show? It shows bearishness potentially. And of course, we had that nice movement down. And we haven't actually traded any traditionals, I don't think. I think is there one here? Yeah, yes, we have. We've traded a traditional 50% halfway back at 8.10, and that has completed its profit target, and we are ATRing up out of that profit target. So I would look for potentially to see if we can rebalance back up into either 962s or into 900s, which would be a nice area. I did also mark on my chart earlier on that I would like to see us above 19,100s for a potential long. I said I would like to see us back down to 18,996. The reason being is that was our halfway back here. Okay. That was our halfway back here. Why do I not long at the halfway back? Because guess what? I have no idea if it's going to hold, right? So why would I just randomly go long at the halfway back? Okay. What I would like to see and what I said I would like to see, and apologies for this being quite a long breakdown this morning, but with there being more people, I'd rather try and give a decent breakdown. So I said I'd like to see us get back down to 18,996s and then back above 19,100s. Okay. Someone asked any reason why you wouldn't draw the same anchor new high from the previous trade. And of course, I just said manipulation. And you can see here, we have had that ATR down. So we have had our manipulation on those longs there at the halfway back. Another reason why I would not take that trade. Now, what I would like to see, is to see if we can get back above this kind of 19,100. Why? Because this is, to me, support until proven otherwise, resistance until proven otherwise. So this line here, for me, is an area that I would want to see, and that I have no reason to participate on this. Okay, until we are either above or below. So I would wait for the manipulation of this level, which potentially we have had, and then if I want to go long, I would be looking to see if this can actually hold. And it's not just you wait for a small test. You want to see this hold a couple times to see if we can go higher. So right now we are just in no man's land for me. We are above that sort of halfway back, and of course we are forming some sort of support at the 79%. Nothing for me to take just yet. I will wait for the open, which we have, and we'll see now what we get. And yeah, so we got the open there, and we have ATR'd up. Wait for a potential rebalance of this, or we could just rally straight out of here. Targets will be if long 909s, 19,009 would be targets from the open if you are long. Again, nothing I would be taking, but that is a extension completion level there at just under 19,010, which is about 50 points from the open. See if it can push up into that level. And that is pretty much bringing you right back up into that midpoint, that halfway back from the overnight session. That will be your OVN midpoint, and we are ATRing up after a nice ATR to the upside. So ATR reversal to the upside, would rather see a rebalance, but of course those targets can go without us, and those targets are coming into play now at 19,009s. Again, 19,009s is a completion there, and we are 10 points away. So 20 points away? Yeah, 20 points away from that target. Nothing for me so far, but anyway, that is the breakdown. What I will do now is put my screen on TraderBait, so you can see there we are, 2x caution bar to the upside. Completions from the open long, if anyone took it, has been taken. So that is a 50-point trade. Did not take it myself, but again, I don't care about taking every single trade. I just like to point them out because I just like to see. It's not something I would take, but if I was just going to take every single trade that I saw, that is a trade that I would potentially take. But I know what my system trades, and I know why I don't take trades like this, if that makes sense. I take trades like this because I like to have risk to reward on my side. Okay. However, when you start doing this for a long time, you start to know just intuition that potentially, even if you don't get your setup, you think it's still going to work, if that makes sense. Okay. Cool. I'm going to just check the Discord. I don't think there are any questions, so that is good. And yeah, I'll put my screen on Tradeovate, and if there's any questions, please let me know. But of course, I am not going to be on the audio 24/7. I will only be on audio when I see something worth trading. Okay, any questions? Now is your chance to ask. Other than that, I will go on mute until I see a trade set up.